Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Respect Coin podcast. I'm your host, Michael Bolling, and it is Friday, back, recording on a normal day. Shout out to everyone who listened and supported on the special edition of Respect Coin last week. Thursday, Thanksgiving, was a pretty eventful day for a lot of bettors. Not so much myself. Obviously, I root for the Bears. But if I can take that silver lining, Matt Eberflus is gone. And now we have Thomas Brown running the show. So we'll see what happens. But I bring that up because it's been a while since I've got on here and talked some bets. So I'm excited to get back into the swing of things. Whole lot of stuff to cover. And we'll have a special guest in this episode. My man Greg Ivory, who formerly used to work at BR Betting with me. He's jumping on the pod, and we're going to talk a little Bears and Niners because we've kind of had a little rivalry over the years. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But as we start this show, as always, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the good. Let's start with the good. I've been on a decent little run lately. I think winning a couple bets on Thanksgiving, not necessarily Bears bets, but over the last 7 days, I've been able to kind of build up the bankroll a little bit, withdrew a couple times, bought a PS5. Really excited about that so I can get crushed on Call of Duty by 12-year-olds and have them screaming at me. But we move. I'm never going to be as good at video games as I used to be. Just don't have the time, but I do love the grind. It's going to be fun to kind of knock that out. So if anyone that's listening has a PS5 and plays, definitely reach out, add me, let's bop. The bad. One of the things I very much take pride in is accountability, something that former Bears head coaches didn't have. So I'm going to tell you all of the bad Bears bets that I made before this season as like a little in memoriam. First and foremost, I think the most hilarious one at this point is I had a $25 bet to win $1,000 on Matt Eberflus to win NFL Coach of the Year. And while I can't confirm that he's no longer in consideration for that, I just think that it's probably a wrap. He was fired last week. Obviously, a whole lot of news coming out of Hallis Hall, but when I thought about that firing and thought about that ticket that I could just rip up, I went back in the archives and looked at everything that I bet when I was drinking the Kool-Aid during Hard Knocks. And that includes a bet on Caleb Williams to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, which is technically not dead. I think if he has a crazy end to the season, puts up monster numbers, there is some light at the end of this tunnel. I got it at 40-1. I think you're probably going to get it a little closer to 50 or 60-1, which is an interesting play right now. If you have a little extra that you want to kind of roll the dice with, I don't think it's a bad play. It's only massive value, and you're banking on him having a really incredible finish to the year. So that one's teetering, probably an L. Which ones are definitely an L is the over 8.5 wins. That's already dead. I bet them to win the division. That's a super dead. I bet them to make the playoffs. That's super dead. What else did I have? I had another one too, and I can't remember. But all around, not good. That's why this is a bad segment. And I'll move quickly into the ugly. This is really frustrating because I was kind of on a heater over the last week. I mentioned it off the top. I had a bet that I saw on Twitter, or I got from one of the people I follow. And I had Javonte Williams and David Njoku straight up to score a touchdown. Parlayed those two. That hit in the first quarter of last week's Monday Night Football game. And it was Broncos versus Browns. And I'm feeling good because sometimes when I do these two, like anytime parlays, I'll just sprinkle like each of them to score twice. But they're $5 on Javonte Williams and David Njoku to have 2 touchdowns. $5 to win nearly 1,200. And I got beef with Sean Payton. I got beef with Sean Payton. A lot of people have beef with Sean Payton, and I'm starting to understand why. I actually don't understand why. I'm just being greedy. But he handed the ball on the 1 to someone named Michael Burton. I've never heard of this guy before. Alex at work dropped in to mention that he played for the Bears a few moons ago. Never heard of her. To be honest with you, I was extremely frustrated because Javonte Williams scored easily in that first quarter and could have had a second first quarter touchdown. But Sean Payton decided he wanted to hand it to the fullback, the up back, whatever you want to call him. For what? For what? Why do we keep doing this? I don't know. I've never played football and I'm not a coach, obviously. But when you want to just like continue to get the ball in your best player's hands, like, I don't know, super frustrating. And Javonte Williams was on the field for that play, which is even more frustrating because then the Browns went down in the second quarter and Njoku scored again. So literally this close from turning $5 into almost 1.2K. Sean Payton does not respect coin. I mean, maybe he's a good coach. He scored on the play, but for bettors, damn it, do better. Come on, Sean Payton. Sick of this. So many times these guys, no one who's ever heard of, they're not even listed on the site to score touchdowns, are scoring touchdowns. It's dumb. It's dumb and I hate it and it's dumb. So that's the good, bad, and the ugly. We move to a quick Thursday night football recap. And what I can say about this game is the public ate. The public ate. 65% of the money and the public were on the Lions -3. That was on DraftKings. So a lot of people pushed. But 77% of the public was on Lions money line and obviously came through. I kind of wonder what it's like to be a Lions fan. I think the defense maybe isn't as good as it has been in years past. They've given up kind of a lot of points here recently. But you got a really talented roster. I know they're dealing with a lot of injuries. But I feel like if you're a Lions fan, you got to be on this like never-ending roller coaster because of Dan Campbell. And honestly, I sit here as a Bears fan and I'm jealous of it. I wish we had a coach that commanded the room like that has so much conviction, that just really sticks to his guns. Like that play at the end of the game where it's 4th and inches and Jared Goff's falling down to hand the ball to David Montgomery, but they could have just kicked the field goal and taken the lead. Like Dan Campbell, I imagine, makes Lions fans sometimes want to pull their hair out until the result. And then once the result's over, then they're like, all right, we love Dan Campbell again. And you saw it a little bit last year. I remember watching I think it was a Monday night game or a Sunday night game. I can't remember which, but it was Lions and Cowboys, and he kept going for 2, and there was a penalty, and he just kept going for it, and they finally just like ended up losing. Like that's the way he gets down. Like he wants to gamble, he wants to leave no doubt, and he's very stuck in his ways in that sense. So I respect it, but I just know that like if you're a Lions fan, that's got to like. There's a lot of peaks and valleys there, right? Like if Jared Goff falls and fumbles backwards and then you end up going to overtime or, God forbid, losing on a kickoff going the other way to the Packers division game, I imagine some Lions fans would be pretty upset about that. So there was 69% of the money was on the over. That cashed very easily, even though in the first and beginning parts of the second quarter, that looked really bleak. But a good day for the public. The public definitely came through and won a good bit of money. I ended up 7 rush yards short from Jahmyr Gibbs from cashing a parlay. I did not do well last night. Pretty close on a lot of stuff, but it's Thursday night football. We move. I don't have a coin respecter this week. just a lot of moving parts. I don't want to just call people coin respecters just for the hell of it. I would think that's like not fair. You know, I want to maintain some credibility in, maybe the 74 people that are listening to this podcast. I hope it's more. I just don't know. So I'm not trying to get ahead of myself. But if I were to give some honorable mention quickly, last week, Josh Allen scored a rushing, receiving, and a passing touchdown. That was pretty cool. That definitely feels like a respect coin situation, especially when you kind of consider fantasy implications. We're getting very close to playoffs in fantasy. So if you have Josh Allen, you're probably doing pretty well. Similarly, if you have, Saquon Barkley, who's been named a coin respecter, Lamar Jackson very much up there from the way they stuffed the stat sheet. But Josh Allen got pretty close. That game was a nightmare. I don't think, unless you had anything on Josh Allen, you probably didn't win any other bets. So can't really call that out. But I'm going to close the loop on Thursday Night Football by detailing this week's disrespecter of coin. And if you watch the game, you definitely know who I'm talking about. This is the second time now in the history of the show I'm coming back here to detail a disrespecter of coin who is a wide receiver. And the only difference between Quentin Johnston and this week's disrespecter of coin is that Quentin Johnston doesn't really talk very much. By all accounts, I think he's a pretty quiet dude. I think he saw all of the backlash and the uproar about his cardio sesh a few weeks back. So this week's disrespecter of coin, and it gives me great pleasure to announce that I'm getting a chance to hold the fire to the feet of a Green Bay Packer, and his name is Jaden Reed. Woo, boy. Did y'all see what Jaden Reed put on tape yesterday? I'm curious because there's a big difference, right? Like, Quentin Johnston had 5 targets and just dropped them all. And I called him a cardio guy, and obviously, if you're not catching anything, you're just getting cardio. This week's coin disrespecter, Jaden Reed, got 1 target in an hour of football game time in maybe one of the more anticipated Thursday night football games of the year. 1 target, no catches, no yards. That amounts to no average. You obviously cannot score a touchdown if you don't touch the ball. Bruh, 0 for 0 on 1 target is absolutely pathetic, dog. And I'm not going to act like I feel bad. I hate the Packers, and watching them lose was awesome, and watching this dope not do anything was pretty great. He did smoke a few parlays, and if he smoked a few of mine, I'm sure he smoked a few of yours. But disrespecting the coin in innovative ways, like not being involved. And to make things worse, dude was on Amon-Ra St. Brown's podcast back in October, running his mouth, talking about Amon-Ra wanted to be a Packer. Yeah, I'll bet. Talking about watch when I get to Detroit in December. Bruh, this is the opposite of Dame time. Like, where you at, bro? You can't talk like that on the internet and then show up and do a bagel. Like, it's outrageous, bro. Like, what are we talking about? Dude went out there and got a little sweat. I mean, I can't even imagine he sweat at all. You get 1 target. So, coin disrespecter of the week, Jaden Reed, do better, bro. Get involved. Like, 31 points on your side, and you didn't even touch. You even got targeted more than twice. Maybe Jordan Love's not on that with him. I don't know. It's really hard to imagine a number 1 option. I'm using air quotes. A number 1 option. This is all fun to me because I hate the Packers. So, like, they lose. This dude's getting crushed on social media. Jameson Williams, who had a pretty big game, definitely factored into the result, unlike Jaden Reed. He hopped on a BR betting post and said, did he even come? Like, did he even show up? Man, that's tough. That film session is gonna be hilarious, by the way. I wish we could hard knocks in for Jaden Reed's film session, because if I was a wide receiver coach, I'd be like, bruh, we must have left you a Lambo. Dude was absolutely frozen in Green Bay, and he didn't really make it out to Detroit. So this week's coin disrespecter, none other than Jaden Reed. And you know what this means? I didn't check in on what Quentin Johnston did after the bagel night. You got to imagine they're going to get him a lot of touches next week. So be on the lookout. If he puts up another stat line like this, it might be time to call the dogs off, because that's just pathetic. But we move. We have a really, really fun guest today. Really, really excited to get into it. One of the people that I've been, I've had the pleasure to work with. A really, really bright mind when it comes to betting, but also just a world-class ideas guy, and just straight up one of the homies. Like, one of the homies. His name is Greg Ivory. I mentioned we used to work together at BR Betting. Now he's doing a lot of different stuff, and I can't wait to have you guys hear our interview. So let's check it out. What's good, everybody? I'm here with a very, very special guest, one of my all-time longest homies, bro. Greg Ivory. It's good to chop it up, bro. How you been?
And B, what it do, man? I'm blessed, bro. Very blessed. Happy to be here. Happy to reconnect with my brother, man. Happy to reconnect with my boy. So, yeah, man. I'm just blessed and happy to be here, bro.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. It's been a while. I know we've got different stuff going on, but the one thing that remains the same is there's always bread to get. So I want you to tell your story a little bit, introduce yourself to the Chicago market and our audience. So you and I have a prior relationship. We used to work together at BR, but how did you get into sports betting, and why is it important to you?
It's funny, man. I actually got into sports betting. I was a collegiate athlete, and so a lot of my friends, a lot of my peers, we all thought that we knew sports. And one of my buddies, one of my close friends, Jerron Irby, uh, he was just coming around with a bunch of money. He was coming around with a whole bunch of money. And I'm looking at him, and we collegiate athletes, like we start not really starving, but we like, hungry all the time, trying to go get Chipotle, trying to go get McDonald's here. And we coming up with however we come up with that money to go get what we have to do it. But anyway, what I'm saying is that I seen him with all type of money. And I'm like, yo, what's going on, my man? How you get all this money? And he told me sports betting. And I was just like, what? Like sports betting? And then next thing you know, like I felt like I knew sports more than him. So I was just like, let me go try to win some money myself. And then I started winning, and then that's what hooked me, bro. That's honestly what hooked me.
Yeah, man. Honestly, like, it's so funny to think about those days being a collegiate athlete, and like, you're eating in the cafeteria all the time. Like, you're not really going off campus to get food. And then you see somebody on the team, like, damn, he got a little extra cheese. Like, I got to see what he's doing.
Come on. Trying to figure out like what's really going on over there. Like,
For sure, bro.
and
Honestly, like, and, I'm glad that, that is your experience, because to me, like, I've said this on the show before, like, my pops was into it. So, like, I kind of like grew up into it. But, like, if I was in your situation, like, I would have peeped that and been like, yeah, I got to see what time it is, bro.
oh, got to. Wherever, when there's money to be made, my ears is always go be open, trying to hear, you know what I'm saying, where the money at, and that's basically what happened. He had the money, and he said sports betting was the place to get it. So we started to dibble and dabble into it.
Yes, sir. Well, yeah, I mean, I mentioned we worked together at BR. I want to go back to like the very, very first time we met, and I'm pretty sure it was at Madison Square Garden for the Champions Classic. So you have flown all the way from the West Coast. I'm flying from Chicago. We link up at MSG, and I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm watching Greg Ivory on the Locky Town, on the Nerfies, on the Yerfies, on the 3x2, and I'm like, man, I wonder what this cat's like. And we link up, and I'm like, damn, we could have been friends from high school, bro. Like, it was like nothing. But let's go back to that first time. Like, I remember thinking, I don't know what this is going to be like meeting this guy. And then we meet up and everybody's in the concourse like, yo, is that Greg Ivory? I'm like, bro, this guy's a celebrity.
Man, nah, those was the times, MB. Those was the times. I remember linking up with my boy MB at MSG, man, and it was a fun time because outside of work, I like to have a little fun, and my boy MB like to have a little fun as well. So we were already planning those type of initiatives, but when we finally linked up and got some good content out there and was out there in New York taking pictures with the fans, that was fun, bro. I still got those pictures. I'm gonna send it to you, MB. But I still got those pictures we took with the young bros.
Yeah.
I think we were by the court. Yeah, we were by the court. Took it with the young bros. But yeah, bro, I was super excited to meet you. I felt like that was the time when we were at BR where we needed to see some seasoning. And I'm glad that you came, my boy. So that's what it was, man. We was rocking ever since.
Yeah, man. Honestly, that started, I want to give you your flowers, obviously, because for me, I didn't know what my voice was going to be like in the betting circles. I had done a lot of stuff for the Cubs and all that stuff, but I remember too, man, like you hit me after a meeting once and were like, bro, like you got it, man. You just got to like let it rip. And to me, I was like, I'm never timid. I'm not shy. I'm like, I'll talk to the wall, but I needed someone who'd been in that seat to say like, hey, I see something here, man. Like you should definitely kind of pop out. And, the rest was history. I mean, I can't even count on one hand how many events we did together. We did Monday Night Football in Vegas, the draft, the match. We flying coast to coast, bro. I miss those days.
Nah, yeah, man. Those was the days, bro. Those was the days flying coast to coast, knocking out content. I miss them. But we still young, man. We still got a lot ahead of us. I know y'all over there at CHSN is gonna be looking to do some content in the future. So hopefully, them Chicago teams can get good and cross our paths some way, somehow, and knock out some dope content, man.
There's definitely a way for it. I won't tell you to come to Chicago in this cold ass weather. So maybe we'll link up for a baseball game. Maybe the Giants, when they come to town, we'll go to Wrigley or go over to Guaranteed Rate and watch a game. But that'd be dope. We'll throw in a little bet. I want to know, though, you've kind of done just about everything you could do experience-wise, I think, in betting. And I think there's still some more to do. But if you could think of something off the top of your head, like, what's some of your favorite experiences or like a place you went or something you covered that you were like, damn, I really did that?
That's a real good question, MB. That is a really good question, man. And something that comes to the top of my head that was really cool. UFC, covering UFC was really dope. Having all the UFC fanatics get mad at me because I'm asking a question and they're not asking the question at the UFC press conference was very interesting. That was pretty cool. But just being a part of that, interviewing some of the fighters and stuff. Also creating the Nerfy with my boy Mikey Locks, creating that whole trend, that whole little trend that it was and it still is. Creating that Nerfy and then going to the Giants game with Wes. Sitting behind the plate in an NRFI. I think I had NR, he had FI, or vice versa. Sitting right there on a nationally televised game with our Nerfy shirts on. And we lost. We lost the Nerfy, but that is okay. Joey Votto, hey, we actually got in trouble for that. Hey, we got in trouble because we were talking to Joey Votto and we told him, hey, no runs in the first inning. I did. I was like, Joey Votto, bro, don't hit bro, I need no runs in the first inning. He's like, what? I'm telling him, like, bro, don't score no runs in the first inning. I think my guy went long ball.
He did.
He went long ball, and as he's coming back in, I'm yelling at him like, yo, what's going on, bro? I thought I told you not to hit no home runs or do nothing crazy in his first inning. And then he was just, he gave me a look or whatever. And then next thing you know, we got to work. And
that's awesome. I remember that like it was yesterday, bro. Like I remember thinking, I'm like, they really just talked to Joey Votto. Like that was dope. Y'all were literally in the first row, and then
Facts.
seeing that highlight, bro, he put that swing on that ball. I'm like, oh my god. Honestly, like losing the bet was like losing the battle, but you guys won the war because everybody knew what Nerf he was after that.
Bro, literally, like it went viral. Like people were writing about it, and I saw my name in columns and stuff, and I'm like, oh snap! Like that's kind of crazy. And that was kind of crazy, bro. I that was really dope. Now you got me reminiscing, bro. I think that was like a one of the top times. Being around the betting world. March
Man,
Madness is always fun too.
March Madness always fun. That's like I try to tell people like, people ask me all the time, like, yo, what's it like to be in Vegas for March Madness? Like it's probably dope. And I'm like, bro, you gotta keep a bunch of Red Bulls on deck and take your naps when you can, because it's like 15-hour days every day for a whole weekend. Like that,
Facts, bro.
it gets so crazy. But yeah, man, I was doing a little reminiscing as well. And one of my favorite memories that we have together was that one draft we worked in Vegas. And like, I'm not going to talk too much about the very end of the night because those are stories that are going to go to the grave. But that the piece of content we did where we were pretending like you're saying your name, Greg Ivory, as a draft prospect and asking all those people like, where do they think he should be drafted? Everybody was just like, oh yeah, he should go in the 3rd round. Oh no, he could definitely be a 1st-round pick. And I'm thinking to myself, like, either these people are drunk or they just really don't know what they're talking about.
Hey man, hey, those are fun times, MB. Hey, don't forget about the time that you ran like a sub 440. Seemed like, bro, and they had my boy MB clocked. Like I don't know if it was clocked in the 3s or early low 4s.
It was low 4s, but it was like 4.42 something. I'm
Bro,
like,
yeah.
I was fast and I'm still fast, but I'm like, that clock was wrong, bro. Like,
bro, they had you out there beating Dion and my man Xavier Worthy and everybody. I was like, oh my boy MB got them wheels for real.
I remember seeing the comments in that post like, Buddy should be getting drafted. I'm like, man, I ain't never put a helmet on. They don't want me on the team. I'll bet on it though. I will bet on it.
Those was remember, and then we won the parlay, bro. You remember that? We
yes,
won
sir.
we put a little parlay together. I think everybody had their individual legs, and we were all celebrating at different times. Bro, that was lit.
Yeah, the little wraparound parlay. That was a good time, man. So for anyone who's listening to this, definitely go to Vegas for March Madness. If you can get there for the Super Bowl, it's worth it. These are experiences that we had that, like, even if we weren't working, it's just such a vibe, man. Vegas has become such a destination where it's not just you got to sit at the tables and play. Like Circa is awesome. We spent a lot of time at Circa, super vibes over there. But man, I love the little trip down memory lane. You just kind of made my week. But
yeah, love that, man.
As we get closer to Sunday, we got a little matchup we got to talk about. The Bears are traveling to San Francisco to take on the Niners. I think both of our teams have disappointed us quite a bit this year, so we're both kind of stuck in the mud a little bit. Tell me a little bit about how you're feeling about the Niners going into this weekend.
Michael Bolling, I'm stressed. I am stressed about my 49ers, man. I don't know what's the problem. I really don't know what's the problem going on in San Francisco. I don't know if it's the players. I don't know if it's the coach. It seems actually I do. We've been hit by the injury bug like no other.
Yep.
Like no other. There's been a ton of injuries. We just lost CMC, just lost his replacement in Jordan Mason. Now we're down to our 3rd string running back, the rookie that we just drafted. But it's like the injury bug really hit us. The Super Bowl hangover hit us. And then it's like my man Kyle Shanahan misusing his players. I like Kyle Shanahan. I am a firm believer in Kyle Shanahan. I love this system. I love the way he coaches his players. I love how he's a coach's player. A player's coach.
Yep.
I love how he's a player's coach, and I like how he gels with the players and everything, and how they respect him. I really like the guy. I think he's an offensive guru.
Yep.
But it's just it's like he just misuses his players in certain ways that are kind of annoying to the fan.
For sure.
For an example, Jordan Mason, my man's leading. Well, he's top 3 in the league in rushing. CMC comes back. I know it's CMC. But it's like my man's top in the league. Are you just gonna go fully away from him? And that's what Kyle Shanahan did. And he kind of, in my opinion, burnt out CMC, whether the injury was going to happen or not. But he was playing basically almost every play coming off of an injury.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of burnt him out, and now he's injured. And Jordan Mason ended up getting injured too. I could go on and on. My man Kittle last week, he was said he was open. I don't know how many times he got passes or whatever, but yeah, my boy MB. I can go on and on about the Niners, but hopefully this weekend they get right.
Well, I'll tell you one thing about Kyle Shanahan, and I know that you're a guy who likes him. I have been reading that a lot of people are getting a little fed up. If he'd like to come to Chicago, I'd pick him up from the airport, because we have had some of the worst kind of coaching situations over the last few years. And, the grass ain't always greener, I'll say that. But to me, the Bears have just been, it's just too much up and down, too much goofiness going on. Like, we got an interim coach now, which, who knows what happens with that. We're going to start the search for another coach. But the one thing I will say that I'm super excited about is, like, Caleb looks like the real deal. If you asked me before the year, do they make the playoffs? Do they win the division? I probably say no, even though I'm an idiot and I bet that stuff. But the one thing that I cared about was, like, show me that Caleb Williams is the quarterback of the future. And I think we know that. So I'm pretty excited to see now how they build around him. Sometimes I get a little worried about the decision makers up at the top, but when you have a guy like a Caleb Williams or a Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or, any of those guys, it feels like it's easier to put the pieces around them versus trying to just find the person that's going to run the show. So I'm excited. I got some numbers for this week just to see if this means anything to you. 84% of the money is on the Bears to cover 3.5 points, which I thought was kind of interesting on the road. But I did find out, I did some research. The week after coaches are fired, those teams that fire the coach are 18-22 straight up. So that's kind of crazy. Like, if you think to yourself, how many head coaches have been fired on, like, good teams? It's probably none. So the fact that they're almost, 50% on that bump. So I'm not saying the Bears are going to win. I definitely am going to take them to cover. It's just something interesting about that. But on the Niners side, and I want to get your take on this, 60% of the public's on the Niners money line. So the Niners are going in the parlays.
Yeah, the Niners are going in the parlays, but when you got the public on your side, that always isn't a good thing.
Right.
This is honestly a tough one, MB. I mean, as a Niner fan, I want to just be like, yeah, pick the Niners. But they're really banged up. They are really banged up, and defense has been struggling. And so it's not a real confident bunch, or I'm not real confident in them. You know what I mean? But
I hear you. I'm not going to sit up here and tell anyone that Bears plus 3.5 is a good bet. I've experienced the Hail Mary, the blocked field goal, the no timeout. I could go on, bro. I've faced all kinds of crazy adversity as a bettor this year. So I'm going to stay out of it. I'm not betting the side. I'm not taking the money line. I'm not doing any of that. But what I will do is dabble with some player props. So
come on.
I'm going to let you know what I got, and then I'll give you a chance to kind of let the audience know what to look for from the Niners. I think Caleb Williams is throwing for 200 yards this weekend for reasons that you kind of detailed. The fact that the team is banged up, it doesn't sound like Bosa's going to play, which is a huge deal in terms of them getting pressure on Caleb. So if he's got a clean pocket, he might be able to throw it around a little bit. And then I also think within that, DJ Moore popped up on the injury report this week. So I think Roma Dunze deserves a look this week. His numbers are pretty low from my experience. Like even just throwing a 25-yard in there is something that'll boost up that first bet. So going with Caleb, 200 yards, Rome to have 25. Nice and easy, little rocking chair, hopefully. And now I need some insights from you as a Niners fan. You got the Niners intel, but I know they're hurt, so let me know what you're thinking.
Yeah, they are banged up, MB, but I got some plays for you. Let's start it off with my man George Kittle. Last week he was in the media talking about that he was open. I don't know if that rubbed Kyle Shanahan the wrong way. I don't think it did. So with all that being said, I'm gonna just say the focus is going to be getting him the football, and that means he's going to be getting receptions.
Yep.
So I like George Kittle over 4.5 receptions, sitting at minus 120 on FanDuel. But
Yep.
I like George Kittle to go over that reception total based off of his comments last week, based off of how this year's been trending for him, and just based off the Niners need to win, so they need to get their best players the ball, and with them being down to their third running back, got to give George Kittle the ball.
Yeah,
Second,
man.
Would you going to follow up on that?
No, I was just gonna say like Kittle's on my fantasy team, and he's been really good when they're getting him targets. I didn't see the comments about him needing the ball, but he's right. I mean, like they're so banged up. Brock Purdy has that as a security blanket, and I'll just say from our side, our linebackers are good, but I don't think they can mess with George Kittle. So he should be able to get these 5 catches, especially if the game plan throughout the week is like, we need to give my man the ball.
Yeah, and he said, this is what he said, MB. He said he was open. You know, he said he was running routes and he felt like he was open because they were asking him, why weren't you getting the ball? And he's like, I don't know, I was open. You know what I mean? Oh, I feel like there was some underlying.
Yes, sir.
You know I mean, he was open. So this week we're going to see if he's going to be open. So I like that George Kittle play. And second, I'm going to talk about the 49ers red zone struggles leading to Jake Moody going over 6.5 points. I think between him kicking extra points and him kicking field goals, he should get that total easily. In my opinion, the 49ers, I don't know what it is in B, but since I've been a fan, it feels like they struggle to score touchdowns and they always settle for 3. This team specifically this year, especially no CMC, no Jordan Mason now, no Brandon Ayuk, you know, our weapons, Debo's not having the year that he's accustomed to usually having. Yep. Our weapons aren't weaponing as they usually do for Brock Purdy. And that's been resulting in us settling for 3 a lot. Last week against the Bills in the beginning of the game, they were scoring touchdowns. We were moving the ball, but we were settling for 3. We were settling for field goals. I think Jake Moody missed one, made one, something like that. But anyway, field goals opportunities are going to be there. They're going to score 2 a little bit. So I feel like between scoring and kicking field goals, Jake Moody should go over 6.5 points on the day.
I love it, man. This is actually so awesome to chop it up with you because you know your team and I know mine. And one of the things that the Bears have been pretty damn good at is not allowing those touchdowns in the red zone, right? Like they're more of they play the cover 2. It's bend, don't break. Don't allow the long touchdown. Play a little more conservative. Rush from the secondary a little bit. So I do think there's opportunity there. And Jake Moody's a Michigan guy, so I'm always down with a little Jake Moody. I feel like you did that on purpose.
Hey, you see how I sprinkled that Jake Moody in there, MB? Come on, man. You know I'm representing. I'm in Chi-Town. I got Michael Jordan on the shirt. Come on, man.
That's my boy. That's my boy, man. All right, so we got Caleb 200, Rome 25 receiving yards, Kittle 4.5 over 4.5 catches, and Moody over 6.5 kicking points. I'll total it all up. I'll get us a ticket. I'll throw a 50 on it for you, and when we win, we can put it towards your flight to come to Chicago in the summer.
Come on, man. Let's do it. Let's get right. Hey, man, we gonna have to do this again for that baseball one. We gonna have to do it like old times. Let's really do it, man. Let's do a little ride along or something.
Amen.
And you feel me? Knock it out for baseball because I really do think that'll be fun. For sure.
Absolutely, man. Anytime, man. I appreciate you jumping on. I know you're busy. I know you got stuff to do. We all got stuff to do. It's about to be the weekend, but it means a lot, man. You know, we've done a lot of stuff together that, you know, we're both very proud of and helping us kind of continue and launch our careers. So, you know, it's all love in Chicago. I know it's all love out by you out west. I got to get out west too. Maybe I'll do that when it's cold because it's already 17 degrees here, bro. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. I don't see how y'all Chicagoans do that, man. Just think about going to the gym in that weather. I can't even imagine, bro. Like what?
Gym? I'm not going to the gym.
That's crazy, bro.
Love, bro. Well, I appreciate you taking some time with us. You know, we'll put in the parlay. I'll post it to the socials, but appreciate your time, man, and we'll do it again soon.
Signing out, man. Appreciate you, MB.
Huge thanks to my guy G Money, my guy Greg Ivory for hopping on with us. And we cooked up the 4-leg parlay. So you have that. Really pumped to watch this game. Like I said, Thomas Brown takes over. Caleb's been playing better, really clutch in the fourth. 4-point underdogs as it stands right now for this weekend's game. But really appreciate Greg hopping on, giving us that San Francisco 49ers flavor. He's obviously super tapped in, so we appreciate him for joining. And that's really it. We got the play together. I'm not taking any Bulls plays tonight. Second game of a back-to-back against the Pacers at home. If I do lock anything in, be on the lookout on social. I might drop something a little later once the lines come out. Because one thing I will say, second game of a back-to-back, a lot of blowout potential. Ball knowers, NBA bettors know this. Definitely look at the reserves in a game like tonight. I'll go in a little in-depth just really quickly before we get out of here. Guys I like to bet are bench players in these spots. So guys like TJ McConnell, who's obviously played very well against the Bulls in his career. He might get more run if this game gets out of hand. And then guys like Modest Buzelis, who definitely have come around a little bit, had a 20-point career high the other night. He left last night's game against the Spurs after getting hit in the face with a ball. So we'll see. Hopefully it's nothing serious and he gets to play tonight because I think as much run as he can get this year, the better for the organization. He's looked really good. He's looked really versatile. So TJ McConnell, Modest Buzelis, these lines won't come out until much later, much closer to tip-off. So nothing you can lock in upon hearing this, but something to keep in mind if you're betting, right before the game starts. Take a look at some of the reserves in case there's a blowout, because you know what the NBA stands for, National Blowout Association. And back-to-backs are really tough spots. Obviously, the NBA Cup stuff's already been settled, so not going to see a ton of wear and tear on the usual names, especially with quarterfinals coming up. Some of these teams are moving on to the quarterfinals of the NBA Cup. So take a look at the reserves tonight in Bulls Pacers. I'm going to quickly pull up a little bit of stat knowledge just to give you a sense of what's going on in this Bulls game. If you are betting it, 54% of the money is on the Pacers -3. Not a big surprise. Obviously mentioned Bulls playing the second leg of a back-to-back. But, and now I'm kind of changing my tune, I will definitely post a Bulls play at some point on the CHSN platforms, on my platforms, because the total in this game is 248 points. Now, let me tell you, 54% of the money is on the over, while 75% of money, or 75% of the public, is on the under. So the sharps and the public are on different sides. I'm going to lean over. I think a lot of these Bulls Pacers games have gone over. And then just to put a bow on it, 64% of the sharps are on the Bulls to get this done. I don't necessarily believe that. I'm not going to bet a side for sure. Might bet the over, haven't decided. But with that amount of points, and there's blowout potential, this could be a game where the starters come out early fourth and the reserves kind of just mess around to end the game. So there could be some sharp action on bench players. Make sure to keep your eyes on CHSN platforms, my handles. I will post at least one Bulls play, maybe a SGP for tonight's game at the United Center, which I'm attending. Because if I'm going, I might as well have some action. So be on the lookout for that. And thank you to Greg Ivory for joining us. Really appreciate him hopping on the Respect Coin podcast. And thank you, most importantly, everyone out there who's listening. I've mentioned a couple times, I've been hearing from you guys, hearing from people, in person, telling me they enjoy it. I enjoy it because I could talk to a wall, and this is the stuff I'm doing anyway. Love kind of just sharing some information, having some fun. So appreciate everyone who's liked, listened, subscribed, followed, all of that, supporting the show. We really, really do appreciate it. And as always, as I leave, make sure you respect coin this weekend, and let's get some cash.